leave. Welcome our audience again. A new our events that Fintech CEO Club events, one of events now. We are together with you. Maybe you know Fintech CEO Club has C-level and mid-level executives members from Africa, Europe, Asia, especially, and now in these regions, the leaders of fintechs, we are together in following 1 hour. We are talking about fintech, especially in fintech, blockchain in fintech, and cryptocurrencies in fintech area, in some level, some enterprise level, some and customer level. So maybe just let me introduce us about our Fintech CEO Club and Faster community is a hub and club that for C-levels, especially faster areas nowadays, the areas that technology areas, faster coming from fintech and telco and something like this. And then so far in fintech, we are very active in fintech, especially because also fintech area is very active all over the world, as you know, is open banking is somehow is in a very fast motion in motion, and something also if we talk about fintech spectrum, as you know, insurtech, open banking, others, regulation technologies, regulation bodies, sandboxes, and of course fintech startups, neobanks. Means that there is no physical branch after that for banks, and some neobanks activities and in your regions, as far as I feel, already started. So in this Fintech Echo event, from Italy, from Oman, from Kuwait, Jordan, Middle East, and from United Kingdom, and from South Africa, and representation of Africa, Europe, and Middle East, Gulf regions, and I am from Istanbul, Turkey. So we are covering almost yani quarter of the world as a regions. So let's start that. I want to give the first session as a first session. Speakers firstly make a small introduction for themselves, and as an entrance, what do you think about as first session? What do you think about your regions has cryptocurrency, and your banks has serving some blockchain as customer level, or between enterprise B2B level? What they are doing? What do you think, and what is going on in your region? What do you please? We want to mention, and we would like to happy to hear from you. If we can start, if from Lady Fatin from Oman, most welcome again, and please, we want to start with you if you like.
Thank you very much, Mustafa Bey. It is indeed my pleasure to be on board. I'm very thankful and grateful for the invitation. With reference to my, like a brief introduction about myself, I'm Dr. Fatin Azajali from Oman. I'm the Acting Assistant Dean for Academic Support and Student Affairs at the College of Banking, and I'm also the Head of Islamic Finance in the college. So in terms of the atmosphere over here in the Sultanate when it comes to fintech and the initiatives, we have a wonderful, ecosystem, but it is very much focused on the payment system as of yet. The Central Bank of Oman is really taking forward the fintech, ecosystem, and it has rolled out kind of a sandbox regulatory, initiative in which they are testing the various products here in the Sultanate with the bankers, and it's called Mala'a. The objective of having this particular sandbox is, of course, testing the creditworthiness of the, consumers, and ensuring that they are able to, fulfill their duties as we go forward. Financial technology is huge nowadays, and of course, there is a lot of initiatives that we are seeing. from the perspective of Islamic finance, I see that there is a lot of products that have been spoken from the Islamic finance atmosphere that we can embed them in this particular framework. So I'm so excited, and I believe that digitization is the way forward. Thank you.
I am sorry, I have some sound problem, but I think Fatin, you completed your first session, as far as I understand. Sorry for there is a sound problem with me, but I want to pass if Mohammed Khatib Bey, what do you think about your region in blockchain and your some projects I want to deeply I want to see also, if you would like to see.
Thank you, Mustafa, for this opportunity. I don't think we finished all the introductions while you are while you had the technical problem. I think Fatin finished the introduction, but I guess we can introduce ourselves as we speak. My name is Mohammed Khatib. I'm the group chairman and CEO of Path Solutions. And we have been focusing, we are the #1 technology provider, software provider for Islamic banking. And we have been doing it for over 28 years now. In addition to providing core banking and peripheral systems, we have been very busy building helping building the ecosystem in the region and beyond. Because we have 150 Islamic banks using our core banking system from Malaysia all the way to South America. We have a really nice reach to all those Islamic banking contributors. So it is, we have a really good understanding of the ecosystem. We have been very busy with what we call the fourth industrial revolution technologies, and for the last, I would say, 15 years. A revolution that's going very strong all around the world. And one of the main technologies of this revolution is the blockchain. The blockchain actually has an interesting story because 4 or 5 years ago, it was the hottest thing around, and everybody had such a high expectations of blockchain. And they thought that in 1 year, it is going to just disrupt the whole internet and the whole world. And as things settle down and people start to understanding what the capabilities of blockchain is, of course, blockchain is the platform that Bitcoin as an application was created on. And actually, that's how it got introduced in 2009 to the world through Bitcoin. So now the people realizing that blockchain is an amazing, actually realized it a few years back, that blockchain technology is an amazing technology that can do so much and disrupt so many. It actually can provide almost what the internet was supposed to be. It's like a secured internet or a secured network that you can actually provide a lot on that platform. So a lot of organizations start getting very, very busy with the blockchain and the application. And I think the financial industry is the #1 industry that is very interested in the blockchain because of the nature of the blockchain. It gives you this secure way of communicating, of executing contracts, of tracking assets. So all that, of course, very almost naturally goes to the financial industry. So there are a lot of projects around the world that actually go that are working on a blockchain, and it started with the payments. The way I always tell people, how do you know that your industry will be disrupted by blockchain, is if it's very simple test. If you are sitting in the middle doing an intermediator work, or if you're a middleman as an industry or as a task of a person, then most probably blockchain can actually disrupt your business. So if you look at the banking sector, $5 trillion plus industry, that some of the biggest parts of the financial of their profits comes from, for example, payments, especially international payments, and they have those middle intermediate banks that actually facilitate these payments, and this can what blockchain can do is can actually make it point to point, and you actually can bypass all those middle people or middle companies or organizations. And this is why when Fatin said that payments are, there's a huge focus on payments. Yes, it is. The first thing that gets disrupted by the blockchain, but there's a lot more for the blockchain. For us at Path Solutions, we're working, as I said, to contribute to this ecosystem that's getting created internationally with all these new technologies. And we were working on AI projects, artificial intelligence projects. We were working on different blockchain projects. But as not only as a provider of technology to the banks, so we can empower them, but actually as a direct contributor to the ecosystem. One of the important initiatives that we're working on is through international trade. And we're creating a fintech that allow kind of democratize the international trade. And if you look at the international trade process as a whole, there's so much going on in that international trade process. So you will have the documentation. It's a very heavily documented process. So all these documentations have to be tracked, have to be confidential. The companies are being asked by the banks or the insurance companies to share very, very important information and confidential information. The blockchain gives the control and the security for somebody to share their information about their company or themselves, and give the authority for certain people. So the privacy and the security is completely secured with the blockchain. So the technology is tremendous in securing. Actually, it's in 2009, Bitcoin has been introduced on blockchain. Since then, not a single hack actually happened to the blockchain itself, or to the Bitcoin on blockchain itself. There was some hacking happening on the application and the exchanges that actually sit on the blockchain to deal with the Bitcoin, but actually to hack the Bitcoin itself, to create fake Bitcoins or whatever, that hasn't happened yet. And that shows after 11 or 12 years how secure that network is. And that's why most of the governments around the world are actually thinking of building digital currencies based on blockchain, but based also on their current currencies. So they're not really crypto in the matter of distributed systems, but actually more centralized by the central bank. So Path Solution looked at the international trade and thought it was a perfect a process that we can actually work on and introduce the blockchain. And we are expecting this summer to actually go live with our fintech. It will have multiple blockchain components. The KYC, your customer, is centralized, and we will be sharing the information through blockchain. The documentation that we expect the different stakeholders on the international trade finance to share their information, they will be sharing it on the blockchain. And we will be reading and writing to this blockchain and controlling who has access to that network. We're very excited about that, and I think that's going to be a very key distributor to the whole process. We think that blockchain will continue to strive as a platform, even if crypto doesn't. But a lot of people think that crypto will actually make it big. But if you look at, I don't think, I guess my point is Bitcoin success is not really related or is not coupled by the blockchain platform. You can do amazing things on the blockchain independent of the Bitcoin, and you can actually succeed on the Bitcoin also. And that's, of course, for us to see what's going to happen in the future with those cryptocurrencies. But we're very excited at Path Solution about this platform and technology. And we believe that it's going to be definitely disruptor to the whole industry.
Most welcome. Thank you for your speech, Mohammed Bey. As one detail that Mohammed Bey has some time problem, so because of this, maybe we give him one privilege to do for his speech. Thank you, Mohammed Bey, again. So let's continue with Michelle. Michelle, welcome. And then as short introduction about you and your opinions and experiences about blockchain and Bitcoin, we would like to hear from you.
Sure. Thank you, Mustafa. And thank you very much for welcoming me here and inviting me to the platform. Yeah, no, certainly. I think blockchain, I've been in blockchain for quite a while, since the early days, I'd say around 2010. So I think just seeing the growth of the industry over time has been really fascinating, I think. And I think the future for the whole blockchain industry as a whole is only really kind of starting to happen now. So, you know, we're still in the very early stages, actually, and even with things like Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, still quite early days, but there's massive potential for the industry to really grow and actually have its own presence in the world. I think a lot of people are still struggling a little bit to understand the fundamentals behind things like Bitcoin and the fundamentals behind things like digital assets as a whole. So what would be really interesting, I think, as we move ahead is as we get to, you know, to adoption, which is what is happening at the moment, really, is we're seeing more and more adoption into this space, more and more adoption into cryptocurrency, and a real buzz and excitement at the moment around things like Bitcoin. You know, the more you have, you know, if you think of it as a community, I like to simplify things a little bit because, you know, there's a lot out there of, you know, technical information that you can read about by yourself, but it's not always easy, I think, to navigate this space, you know, and I think we have to distill it down a little bit. And I think Mohammed already alluded to the fact that, you know, blockchain, which is the underlying technology at the end of the day, it's the underlying technology, and Bitcoin really, you know, comes from blockchain. And is the first use case, successful use case, and a very, you know, kind of popular use case. But it doesn't, you know, remain there. You know, having that payment, you know, store value through Bitcoin is very useful. And we're starting to see it grow and mature, right? So it's moving steadily on, but it is still very early days. If we think a little bit around even just the internet, right? Because we can compare this to the internet. It didn't take overnight, or it didn't take a couple of years before people, you know, fully adopted into the usage of the internet, or when new applications came in, be it email, be it or whatever. It took some time. So technology takes time. You know, and it's the same here in the concept of blockchain. There is still quite a lot of, you know, technical work, I think, that still needs to be done. There's issues around things like interoperability, which again, a lot of people are starting to look at and are starting to help sort out challenges around interoperability between systems, you know, and we are moving ahead, and it's very, very exciting to see that. But if we are to get to adoption, I think there has to be better, you know, understanding of the space and understanding of what's the differences between you know, blockchain, what's the difference between Bitcoin, what's the difference between Ethereum, between Bitcoin, what about smart contracts? So there's a lot in there, I think, for people to digest. And certainly what we have been doing, sorry, I didn't do the introduction, but what we have been doing at Global Policy House, which is a fintech registered here in the UK, but we very much have been focusing around emerging markets. And what we have been doing is precisely that, trying to help to educate, number one, so that people are not left behind, and we can, you know, start to unravel what's happening within this space. What does it all mean? What does it mean for government? What does it mean for, you know, trade? What does it mean for businesses? What does it mean for me as an individual? What does it mean for women? it's really, really important. I think we dissect it a little bit, and that's what the Global Policy House predominantly has been focused on. The other thing that we've been doing is very much around working with governments around the world and trying to really look at what are the implications of things like cryptocurrency or Bitcoin for economies. How can we start to, utilize some of these tools, these digital tools, right, and really tap on them to help to grow and diversify the offer in the marketplace. And for governments to actually start looking at the industry a little bit differently. So, if there's a better understanding of what's happening, what this crypto industry is about, what the fintech industry is about, what it's got to offer in terms of value, then, we're starting to see a lot of governments actually start to, to pay attention and start to interact within the community. So I like to think of it as a community. We're trying to build that ecosystem, and through community, we're trying to ensure that we can get to that adoption that we want. But in order to get to that adoption, it's very important that people also understand and people are also protected. And then that comes in the whole argument around regulation. How do we start to look at regulation in the crypto space? Because there is, there's a need for regulation, but we don't want unnecessary regulation that stops innovators from doing what they need to do. Right. So there's that balance, again, that we have to look at striking. So our work has been very, very, stemmed in working with policymakers, regulators, governments, around the world to really look at the ecosystem and to decide, kind of what does that look like and what do we need to do. We have also been developing our own, sort of products, blockchain-based products, where we're thinking about, for example, women. Women have very difficult access to finance. Is a good example, right? But yet we have all these digital financing services that are stemming up. Some of them are powered by things like blockchain, right? So decentralized finance, for example, DeFi, that, a lot of people are talking about at the moment. Massive opportunities there, again, to help support, more diversified sources of finance. So we are really kind of geared at looking at that in a bit more depth. And actually trying to build solutions that work for markets. So build solutions that are quite tailored, be it around gender, be it around youth, be it around government or enterprise. And I think we need to get like that, because at the moment, I still feel like the industry is very, there's a little bit of a separation with all the crypto world is here, and then we have the traditional world, the finance world is there. And the two worlds are kind of like, apart, and that is not sustainable in the long term. We need to be able to bring the two worlds together, because everybody has some value to add. We need to kind of help, shine a light on those digital tools or those blockchain solutions that we've heard about that are actually working, that have the potential to scale, so that we can use those to develop these economies. So our work is very much geared around that. That's enough, I think, for a bit of an intro. But that's what we do at Global Policy House. And then, of course, I advise several governments around the world and sitting on a number of boards as well.
Thank you, Michelle, for your speech. Maybe you missed short introduction. I'm not sure. Maybe I catch or I couldn't catch. But if you like, we can second session. You can, or you like to make short introduction about you if you like.
Sure. I did a little bit, but the introduction. So I'm Michelle Chivunga. I'm CEO of the Global Policy House, which is based in the UK, but we very much focus around the world. We're working across the world, Asia, Africa, and have a very strong focus on emerging markets. And we focus very heavily on blockchain, but also on other emerging technologies like AI, cybersecurity, data. And our aim really as a company is actually to help, educate, number one, but also build solutions that are fit for the marketplace around the world. Our solutions tend to be quite tailored. We just launched, actually working in partnership with the UN and others, a program, specifically blockchain program for women, for example, because we feel that, certain segments of society are either kind of getting left behind and are not part and parcel of what's happening with the digital world. So one of the areas we're looking at is very much supporting more women to come into the blockchain space, but also to learn about blockchain. But, we go beyond just blockchain. We also look at things like policy initiatives. So we work with government to design policy frameworks, look at investment plans for nations and things. And then we also will have an investment arm as well, where we're trying to source more financing to support things like startups and women-led businesses and things like that.
Thank you. Welcome again on board. And Mr. Darren, we would like to continue with you. Please, your turn.
Mustafa, thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me to join your very special panel here today. So hi everyone, my name's Darren Franks. I'm the CEO of a business called Talent in the Cloud, and we provide leadership talent to fintechs, predominantly in emerging markets, although we do some work in Europe as well now. So our predominant markets are Africa. I'm based in South Africa. I've been here for about 7 years, and before that I was in the UAE. I think, you know, to answer your sort of question, I suppose, when we look at Africa, we look at emerging markets and we start talking about cryptocurrency, I think we have to be cognizant of the fact that cash is still king in this part of the world, okay, and will be for some time. It's going to be quite some time before, and of course, the COVID situation has certainly helped move from being a cash society to perhaps being more cashless. But that's going to take a long time before we eradicate cash from from the ecosystem. So when we start talking about things in crypto, there are two important things or areas to consider. One is the consumer. Does the consumer understand? And I'm not being derogatory here at all, but does the consumer understand what crypto is? Okay, because there's a lot of press around, you know, people making millions out of Bitcoin and going out and buying Ferraris. But what you probably don't see is the people that actually have lost an absolute fortune, or have lost their life savings because they've invested it in, and suddenly the price has crashed and people panic. So that's, you know, the sort of the dark side of crypto. I think the other sort of area which falls in is regulatory. So, you know, the regulatory frameworks or the regulators, how are they embracing? And I'm separating blockchain here from crypto because, as my fellow panelists have said, there's a clear distinction. But if we just talk about crypto, you know, from a regulated perspective, you know, Nigeria about 4 or 5 weeks ago have put a ban on crypto trading or cryptocurrencies in Nigeria, and that's had a big effect because there was certainly a lot of movement towards crypto. You know, the challenge for governments and regulators is how do they tax, right? How do they get their slice of crypto? I think one of the questions I had was, you know, I can go and set up a crypto wallet for my business, and I can accept crypto from my clients if they want to pay me in crypto, in Bitcoin, for example. At what point do I pay tax on that? And what amount of tax do I pay? Do I pay on the amount that was received, or do I pay when I realize that or liquidate that crypto into, you know, a fiat currency? Am I paying capital gains tax? Am I paying corporation tax? It's so ambiguous, and I think until the regulators and the governments and the tax authorities really get a grip on that, I think it's going to be a while before crypto becomes really mainstream in emerging markets. So that would be my thoughts there. You know, in terms of South Africa, there was quite a few crypto exchanges here up until very recently, but again, the regulator has come down pretty harsh on those crypto exchanges, and we're seeing a lot of those crypto exchanges now moving offshore and outside of South Africa because, again, it's come with a lot of bad press. It's come with a lot of people, a lot of schemes that have been set up. You know, everyone was, if you wind the clock back 2 years, probably 2 years, everyone was setting up a token, right? Every company in the world was popping up with a new token, and you know, you think you're going to make millions on that, and very few did. I'm looking at, literally, I've got a ticker across my screen because I hold some crypto myself, and you know, the price of Bitcoin now, I mean, where are we sitting at? $55,000 today, right? It's just crazy. JP Morgan released a statement the other day saying, you know, in 10 years, it's going to be $650,000. Well, okay, that's great. So are people going to use crypto to pay, right? Are they going to use that as a currency, or are they going to treat it as an investment? So, you know, am I going to start spending my crypto now thinking, actually, what I'm doing by spending my crypto, I'm kind of, you know, pulling out of my investment. I'm spending my investment money. Or is it actually going to become a real currency? And I think until and I know Michelle's doing a lot of work on this side with, you know, the governments and putting in, you know, crypto, but, linked and tied to the base currency, to the fiat currency of that country. Until that comes in and that becomes mainstream, I think the crypto, the Ethereum, the Dogecoin, thank you, Elon Musk, for his announcement on that. I think he made a lot of wealthy people, but that causes a lot of fear, and I think that causes a lot of uncertainty around what this whole crypto is, right? So that would be my thoughts. I think in terms of blockchain, I wholeheartedly agree with Mohammed. There are so many different applications for blockchain. We are scratching the surface at the moment, and I know there's lots of innovation happening, especially on the smart contract side. The uses for smart contracts and blockchain are mind-blowing. That really, for me, is probably going to be the biggest disruptor in the next sort of 5 years. I think that's where we're going to see a lot of traction. But again, trying to explain what a blockchain is to someone who's not in financial services, not in fintech, not in technology, it's actually quite difficult to explain. I like to think of myself as a bit of a technologist, but I struggle to explain, to my 10-year-old, what's blockchain, right? You end up drawing lots of pictures and you confuse yourself. So if anyone on the panel would like to demystify blockchain for a 9 or 10-year-old, then I'll go and get my kids to join the webinar. So I think that's my take on where we are at the moment.
Most welcome, Darren. Thank you. But don't forget that Elon Musk now became #2 richest man after this during 2 weeks, and then number 3 now going down and down because of investing of Bitcoin and
Mustafa, my heart bleeds for the man. I tell you, I mean, it must be terrible only having $200 billion in your account. It must be terrible. I feel very sorry for him.
also. So it seems that new generation or people investing coming from stock exchange to the cryptocurrencies as well. For example, when before the corona pandemic, when people thinking as traditionally investing on stock exchange, for example, Airways, but suddenly now they are suffering as somehow in generally and Airways in private. So such people, instead of investing such kind of unseen feature or something, even this kind of corporates can be under politics or who is managing these companies or KIDA. So, I mean in this kind of things. So people maybe mostly even a little fluctuating, they are investing cryptocurrencies nowadays.
I was on that, Mustafa, and then obviously I'll hand over to Carlo. But I think that the world in which we live in now, people want that sort of immediate fix, right? They want to have that instant gratification, and you can get that with Bitcoin or crypto, right? You can go and put $100 into a Bitcoin and see that go to $150 overnight. Whereas it's very difficult to do that unless you really understand the stock market or you're very lucky. It's very, very difficult to do that and obtain those sort of returns. So I think that's probably what's sorry, I'm just going to mute that. That's what's sort of driving a lot of consumers now to investing in crypto, is that sort of instant gratification, and it's gambling, right? I mean, it really is.
Yes, it seems something changing at the end. Must change, of course. So let's go to Italy, and I want to say also Italy at the beginning of pandemic, as you know, Italy, especially the area of Carlo living, was suffering so much, and bad news was coming because of hospital was full of coronavirus affected people. We were very sad about this, Carlo. Again, we want to feel that our feelings and support to on this issue. What about in Italy and about your side? What do you think and see?
First of all, thank you, Mustafa, for the invitation, and thank you for I mean the wishes to Italy. That now we are let's say out of the big issues, but still lacking of a vaccine to have a better coverage of the Italian people. Anyway, we have a new, let's say, prime minister that promised to fix this problem by June. So let's see. Anyway, I'm Carlo Jugovac. I'm the CEO of two companies. So Supernova Labs, that is an accelerator for fintech, and we provide, let's say, consultancy to banks on the new trends, innovation, etc. So we present to bank interesting, innovative idea supported by platforms. So this is our main job. And we have a second company that is Finnovation, that is a lab for both fintech that can use as a banking sector lab, for specializing their application in this area, or can be used by a bank as the innovation lab that they cannot afford to have internally. So this is the two companies. And then, and this is also relevant, I am, let's say, the country manager for Italy, Switzerland, and I am in the ESCO management committee of EFMA, that is the biggest banking insurance association in the world. I mean, there are 2,500 companies that are enrolled in this association in 133 countries. So a lot of people, 80,000 people in this community. So I have, let's say, two observatory. One is at least from Europe and one from Italy. So starting from Europe and starting also from the bank, because I want to give also an alternative view that is not only the fintech, but what are doing the banks. It's very interesting what Europe is doing. I mean, you have a central banks that decided to create a digital currency. So this currency will be out quite soon. And this currency somehow is going to compete, not exactly with Bitcoin, because this currency is more for payment rather than investment, because it's backed by euros. So from this perspective, it's more secure and give, let's say, the customer, the people in Europe, the freedom not to have a bank, because you can own with your digital wallet directly the money. So you don't need to open a current account with a single bank. You have directly your account on the central bank of Europe. So from this perspective, it's a big issue for the banks, but also for the challenges bank, because somehow this can disintermediate not only the traditional bank, but also the neobanks. So this is an interesting move that Europe is doing. Of course, there are also other countries like China that are going this direction. In US, you have a private company that trying to do this, for example, Facebook, etc. So there is a lot of, let's say, movement in this area. Another interesting case of Europe is the consortia R3. No, R3 is a combination. Is an established consortium that set somehow the standard for the banking sector in Europe. Because the top European banks have co-founded this institution, and somehow they created their own language for programming in blockchain, etc., etc. They have their own standards, etc., etc. And somehow they started to create application for the different banks, European banks. So you have application in the payment space, in the capital market, in the risk management, in the loans. Recently, in Europe, for doing digital business, is very relevant, the KYC, so know your customer. So to do the onboarding for private customer, but also company, you need to certify the identity of the customer. So they are launching a digital identity, and they want to market this across all the Europe, at least Europe, in which the identity will be stored in this blockchain database managed by this type of company. So compared to US or China, Europe is more going in a way of collaboration among banks rather than in competition like in US or in China, where you have, let's say, the party that decide which is the road to follow, let's say. So is the big decision maker. So from this perspective, Europe is slightly different, and I would say also quite organized, because you have plenty of cases of collaboration among banks. I give you one example of in Italy. It's a worldwide known knowledge. It's called Spunta, so ticking. No, you know that the banks exchange a lot of payment among themselves. No, I mean there are payment derived by the company customer. So bank to bank need to reconcile all this payment, no, from one bank to another. So this blockchain system allowed the banks to avoid to have hundreds of people that are doing manually or the checks on this balance among the banks, no, because you have end-to-end banks that exchange money every day. So it's a big work. So they, for example, standardize that. You know, that is maybe stupid idea, but very concrete and save a lot of people. So other idea are on the payment space, of course. I mean, there are peer-to-peer payment, for example, also here MasterCard, if I remember, or Visa are introducing the blockchain for making business payment. You know? So from this perspective, I mean, Europe have really a lot of different projects running on, but I would say more in collaboration than in competition. So it seems that this help the bank to find a way to collaborate to fight against, let's say, the new entrants in the business, you know, fintech, tech company, etc., etc. About the cryptocurrency, my personal comment about this is that the big, let's say, development of the Bitcoin, etc., if you look well, it's not very related to the blockchain world itself, but it becomes very famous and very important topic when you go out from the, let's say, techie place or techie way of exchange the money and went to the, let's say, investment logic. You know? So you can buy with your current account, with your mobile banking, this currency, and when you want, you sell it. So it became like an asset, a market asset. No? And there are even mutual funds that consider this an asset class in which they invest. No? So this is, I mean, Darren said before, is a bet, is a real big bet, no? Because there are, I mean, you know, as it works. But anyway, this is to say that until this world stay within the B2B, will be mainly technical development, exchange, marketplace, etc., etc. No, to go to the customer, we need. I mean, the market need to find a way to onboard more the final customer, so the people, let's say. No, and as Michelle said before, I totally agree with her. Still, is a crypto is already means hidden somehow. No, so it's not very clear what is behind. And the technicalities of this are not so simple for the people to understand. No? A lot of people lack even digital skills, even more this type of skills. So from this perspective, I think there is a lot to do. But if the banks, for example, real estate, no, or for the car, no, you can starting selling car or houses through the blockchain. This could become a more popular and more easy way for the people to understand what is behind the logic. So I think a good way, I mean, for this sector to go out from the technical people only and become a mass, let's say, industry is for sure going this direction. So payment for sure, Bitcoin, but even the digital money will be something that will help the development of this topic. So this is my point of view.
Most welcome, Carlo. Thank you for your detailed issues about the banks is going on about usage of blockchain between them as well. As time manner, we have some problem about Mohammed Bey have to leave us. So just for leaving message, we want to give Mohammed Bey most welcome and please, your turn.
Yeah, I would like to thank you again. I'm really apologize. There's an urgent matter that I have to attend to, so I have to leave. But I would like to thank you again for inviting me with this great group to speak. And I'm sure I'm gonna catch the rest of the session on recording. So thank you and have a great day.
Thank you, Mohammed Bey, for your contribution, valuable contributions, and see you next. Our events will continue also with different names, as maybe next time Neobank Summit or Fintech Spectrum or any other new event. We would like to see you again. See you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, let's return to Oman. We say Oman in Turkish, but Oman, I think. And then Fatin, MS Fatin, please, about the banks. As far as we know, you are from Central Bank Oman related some education academy. So as education level as well, if you want to contribute at about what's going on education, if blockchain entered the in Arabic mifredat, or in coverage of the education lessons. Please share your observation.
Certainly. Before I bring, my 2 cents on cryptocurrencies, let me just explain a simple analogy on social finance and value-based financing, because I believe that there need to be a clarification on what is this? Is it new? And what is so interesting about it? So I used to work on in a bank before. And, the interesting thing with cryptocurrencies and its initiation before is because, proponents of this system thought that there is something wrong with the financial system in general, the one that we are, transacting in. So that there are a lot of debt and leveraging and government control and kind of, centralization. So the whole idea of segregating money from the state is, brought the idea of having, today the blockchain and of course the cryptocurrencies. So, it's interesting that in the beginning when there was a focus on having cryptocurrency as a decentralized currency, and, having or moving away from the dollar, moving away from the fiat currency, that was the original idea of having crypto. But now what I have seen that there are so many people linking its success to the dollar. So when you say that it's 50,000 or 48 or 55, meaning that you are, watching the performance of the currency in that way. So linking its performance to the fiat currency. So, I think that whenever we have kind of, inkling or kind of, a cause, we'd like to contribute in that particular cause. I mean, Michelle, you mentioned gender equality, you mentioned women, and you mentioned, there's also the underprivileged, and having a system in which we can, transact at ease, that there is no many restrictions is refreshing. But then, as we come here, we noted that we actually need some kind of systematic approach while we are moving forward with the cryptocurrency and blockchain. I have a simple analogy when it comes to, blockchain and cryptocurrencies. To me, in my simple, very, level-headed mind, is that blockchain is the highway. And of course, now with surveillance, you have a lot of, cameras around. They see where you have been. There is that kind of transactional ledgering happening while you are in the highway. And as you reach the toll destination, you are giving, a return to that particular person who is taking that, currency from you, and that would be the cryptocurrency. So whether it's Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatsoever. So it is from a value-based kind of system. What I think, and I like that Mohammed mentioned about the uniqueness of blockchain, because it's very transparent. The contracts are very aligned. You can go back and see what's happening. You can trace it back. You can see where it's going. And that's actually what happens with the Islamic finance world. So just to give you a simple principle of what it is based upon. Of course, there is the screening process in which, we segregate the things that are legitimate and illegitimate. And then we have the asset backed, the thing that you would like to back any transaction with an asset. So blockchain enables that at ACE. It allows you to see where your money is going, how it is going, and in which asset it is held, and so forth. So this really makes it very clear. The complexity of the Islamic financial, sector is recorded in a way that you can go back and see it, and it's there. So I think it's wonderful, the opportunities over there. I'm just going to mention an example that I have seen with a Japanese company. They're using it for the charity industry, and it's wonderful. They have been, making money out of this charity industry. So imagine if we are using it in, I know that there is a lot of emphasis on payments, but, again, with my simple mind, and apologies for that, I would be saying that, Visa and Master are doing wonderful as well, isn't it? As a customer, I can swipe, and even if the transaction takes 2 to 3 days for settlement, as a customer, this is actually happening. So, the blockchain allows it to be simultaneous, but at the end of the day, the same result is there. So when we think about investment, however, about backing those investments within assets in terms of the Islamic finance, as I said, when we invest, we like to invest in understanding where the money goes, tracing it back, knowing where the asset, knowing where my share is. It's supposed to be there as a proportion of that particular project. And that is quite interesting. We have something called waqf in Islamic finance, which is endowment, in which in this turbulent time, it makes sense to use blockchain. We have, a lot of initiatives like buy now, pay later, financial technology to, cater to the needs of the underprivileged, of the needies. So why don't we think of something that is really, encouraging the ones who are holding those the liquidity at the moment, because, they are quite reluctant as well to spend due to the economic conditions. As Darren said, if you invest in a Bitcoin and then you lose money because you have bought it higher, but then, it makes sense if you put your money as well in an investment that is in the eyes of you could be more, less risky, because at the end of the day, you have seen the behavior of Bitcoin. It's volatile. There is a volatility over there. So I think that there is a huge potential. And I'm very glad that we are here at this platform, because actually we think together and on the offerings that can be happening in future. I mean, charity industry is already there. We have something called zakat as well, which is alms giving. We are giving, to society. These are turbulent economic conditions. Whenever you have the chance to give, why not? In fact, this particular, zakat is obligatory for, people who follow the faith. So it becomes easy for me. It's easier for me to see that 1 + 1 = 2. It's just the way forward, and it makes it easy for us to capsulate it. So in terms of education, yes, I agree with Brother Mustafa. Education. People still do not know the difference between blockchain and cryptocurrency, AI, and financial technology. So that's the wonderful thing, is we are here together to see and providing with a knowledge sharing session, meeting the mind, seeing the ideas. Payments is a wonderful thing, but how we are doing it in a more impactful thing, value, bringing the story behind. I do remember as a banker, when I knew firsthand that we had an issue is when I had a customer coming in and he told me, I am so leveraged. I do not have enough money to support my family. And what we have done as staff is we have given him a credit card, like the magic solutions to work out all his problems. And what we have done is, I realized, scratching my head, is I have actually contributed to the debt situation with a debt situation. So if he wasn't, if the economy didn't turn well for him, actually he will be in a worse off situation. And I guess that this is where we wanted to make the difference. Less, regulatory systems, but then we should have a little bit of scrutiny into it. And having the cryptocurrency more into in payment is good, as I said, but then what about the cryptocurrency that you are holding it instead of trading it all the time? And as Darren said, that there is the tax issue. You could be losing your money if you're doing it for speculative reasons. So if it's why you are into the Bitcoin is a very important question, and we have to ask this particular question, and educate at the end of the day. At the College of Banking, we are thinking to offer a professional diploma with a European company to ensure that this kind of education is done accurately here at Oman. And we hope that this will, crystallize and materialize, inshallah, soon. So these are my 2 cents. And please, challenge me as much as you like. But I think these are, interesting, ideas that we think that I think that we can work out with. Thank you.
Thank you, Fatin Hanım, Ms. Fatin. And let's continue to United Kingdom with Michelle. Miss Michelle, during the Fatin speaking, I saw that you are approving as a lady support each other, of course, as I want to congratulate also International Women's Days of both of you. And let's continue with you.
Yeah, thank you, Mustafa. No, Fatin really covered a lot there. I think, we have to look beyond just the obvious areas with things like blockchain and Bitcoin. It's not just about payments, definitely not. I think there's just so much that is still untapped, with the usage of blockchain. And over time, I think we're going to see we're going to see the revolution, actually. I mean, for me, being in the industry for as long as I've been in the industry, I can certainly see some growth, but I still am waiting to see, the adoption really sort of come in full on. And we're starting to see that institutional adoption is very much on the fore at the moment, where you're seeing the big institutions and mutual funds, as we've heard already, are starting to come into the market. And that's partly because they believe in the opportunities that this asset class, if you like, although some people argue that it's not an asset class, but that this asset class is actually bringing to the table. When you have situations or economies where people are finding it very difficult to navigate, especially now with COVID, and even post-COVID, the implications or the economic fallouts that come out because of COVID are going to be, with us for quite a while. So it's not just a case of, okay, we're going to vaccinate everybody and then everything is going to be fine. No, it's not. Especially in economies which have been really hit really, really hard. It's going to take some time before we can recover. And economically, that's going to be a big, big challenge. And I think for me, again, I'm starting to see opportunities within the decentralized world to help to, navigate that difficulty that we are going to face as we move forward. When you look at Africa, for example, I think Darren really kind of, touched on this very, very well in the beginning. Let's not forget that, when you look at continent Africa, we're quite used to using cash. We're still very cash society, but there's also segments in Africa where we are the creators of digital money. Right. So, you've got that dynamic going on within a continent, right? But at the same time, I am seeing so much innovation coming from Africa and from the young fintechs. Africa is a young continent, lots of young people, very excited young people, very tech savvy young people. So I think you're going to start to see quite a lot of use cases coming out apart from, the payments, apart from the banking and finance. You're going to start seeing use cases within agribusiness. Already we are looking at agribusiness, small scale microloans, decentralized financing that's coming from these platforms. So we are heading towards what I'm calling a platform economy and a token economy, right? And countries, you will start to kind of, sort of navigate this space and start thinking, actually, which of these innovations are we going to really fully tap on so that we can either get out of the recovery? So in a government context, right, a lot of government's concerns will be actually, how can we restabilize our economies post-COVID? How can we create opportunities for people, post-COVID? How can we spur growth, jobs? What do we need to do to create that atmosphere? What about those people who've had to shut down and businesses who've shut down because they didn't manage to cope during COVID? How do we help them? How do we look at, reviving the economies? How do we look at monetary policy? So these are big, big questions that a lot of countries are going to be very concerned with moving forward. And one of the things I have been calling for, for a very long time is actually to the same governments and economies and businesses, private sector, is actually, let's stop this business of saying, no, you government, you're just going to focus on your traditional ways of doing things. If COVID has taught anything, is that the way of doing things every day does not have to be the only way, right? overnight, I think over, several weeks or whatever it is, the world pivoted into what we call the digital economy. So whether you liked it or not, you had to somehow, to a degree, pivot into a digital economy. You were forced to. You could not go to work, you could not meet with your friends, you've jumped on Zoom, you've used digital means, right? And this is going to carry on. I am not saying that we're never going to go back to face-to-face. Face-to-face, in fact, it has taught us the value of face-to-face, right? So even digital has taught us about the importance of relationships, the importance of the human interaction and the human touch. So again, apart from just looking at it as a technology, yeah, we have to look at the opportunities to rebuild using these digital tools. So technology is just technology, and this is where the analogy I like people to have is actually technology is just technology. It's a tool that you can use how you want. You can write a smart contract to say, go and destroy X, right? And the smart contract will probably do that. Or you can write a smart contract and say you want to distribute, mobilize, finance to communities across different parts of the world, because we want to rebuild and regrow. And we want to make sure when we are distributing that finance, as Fatin was saying, is that we're doing it in a more, that is adaptable or conducive to the way the Islamic finance is done, right? We can track and trace, we can see where it's going. We can, ensure that we're not funding, initiatives that don't fit within our criteria. We can look at green financing. I mean, climate is a big, big issue. ESG, sustainability,
Michelle,
very, very important.
Michelle, I'm sorry to interject. I'm just going to say goodbye. I'm really sorry. I've got another call that I have to be on now. So Mustafa, thank you so much. Everyone, thank you very much for having me on stage and taking part in this webinar. I really appreciate it. I wish everyone all the best, and we'll speak soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Darren.
Thank you, Darren. The same for me. I need to leave. Thank you, Mustafa. I hope there will be another occasion to meet again and to discuss not only this topic but also other topic, women finance, but open banking or whatever. Thank you very much.
I want to invite continue of this meeting as event again. I will invite you all this same team.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
I think we were wrapping up anyway.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, in conclusion, I think there's just massive use cases, right, that we're still yet to see. So the space is very much, still growing. There's still opportunities for, for the space to grow and expand, and it's exciting. But I do appreciate, everything that I think Fatin and the other guys were saying. I think we need to do a lot more education and focus on, working together more collectively to look at scaling what we are all doing, I think is key.
Thank you, Michelle. As you mentioned, also educational servicing needs, because this kind of technologies became very interestingly complicated for even almost everyone, even inside of IT. Because, for example, as you know, there is after internet coming from one by one, cloud computing, Internet of Things, 5G, and in the Industry 4.0, to understand each other one by one, even how they affect each other, is a kind of engineering. Yani even engineers can't understand how I can implement all of them. For example, in smart city, yani it's very complicated as you feel, as smart life. We were talking about blockchain and bitcoins, and then in some time as end user investing or business cases as well. I mean, enterprise corporate level technologies nowadays on board, of course. So it seems 1 hour it is not enough hour for to speak about this kind of issues. Certainly, same team, we will make another meeting for blockchain usage and of course policies for government support. As Michelle mentioned, that even governments is yani, to see big picture is it is hard. Yani, this is not only technology matter. Yani, this is affecting everything: lifestyles, social styles, borderless styles and politics, voting, even important for voting. So let's together as conclusion. I would like to hear, in the name of audience, please, as a result of this today event, what do you think and what is your last messages, Ms. Fatin and Ms. Michelle? We would like to hear from you as closing speech also.
Certainly. Well, I'm very happy that Michelle mentioned the Sustainable Development Goals and sustainability initiatives and the drive to be more green and eco-friendly. I mean, I can see the potential in blockchain and cryptocurrency as well in the long term. This is happening. The change is happening. Youngsters are very much interested, to know more, to educate themselves. I picture a day when we are actually funding a project a solar plantation somewhere, and this would be so beneficial to the economy and the society around that particular plantation. It would provide them with energy. It would provide them with opportunities, job creation. There will be, women working there. There will be better living conditions for that particular society. And the beautiful thing is we have achieved is with this particular, with the financial technology is arriving at something called the circular economy, where everybody is there and it's conducive and, it's warm and welcome. Maybe it's a fairy tale in my simple mind at the end of the day, but, who knows, things are happening. And then as Michelle as well said, after the pandemic, things are different. There is a new normal, and there is a lot of reliance and dependence on technology nowadays. And we need also to be sensitive to the tech-savvy younger generation and their demands for more efficiency and more result-oriented solutions. Thank you.
Thanks, Mustafa. I think I've pretty much wrapped up from my last comments, but just to, to agree with Fatin, I think circular economy is certainly not just a fairy tale. I think if it is, then you should keep that fairy tale because it's a very important one. And it's one that I think we need to push ahead. I think we can't, look back the way we've always done, where each country, for example, just focuses on themselves. And invest in just themselves, right? We are in a global economy and we are in a global digital economy. So I think, we need to make sure that we don't leave people behind. Very important in education, but also even in terms of the usage or the development of new digital tools, including blockchain. We don't want to leave certain parts of society behind. So we need to invest in that circular economy, which will help us all thrive, right? And will address the sustainable development goals, as we said earlier on. So it's really for all of us. And I think the Bitcoin and blockchain industry is going to grow, whether you like it or not. Even Bitcoin, people are saying, oh, not so sure. Not really clear about where it's coming from. I mean, when something is backed by things like cryptography and encryption, it becomes very, very difficult to break that, right? So it's very much understanding what is behind it, and because it's backed by this cryptography and encryption. And then if you have the buy-in from the community and you bring in that adoption, then you're really, starting to see quite a lot of growth in the space. So I think that is going to happen. I think people shouldn't pretend that that's not going to happen. Of course, there are things that need to happen to protect people, could protect consumers around within this industry, but it's an exciting world where people should jump on and look at where can I actually innovate within this space, including banks and commercial banks. There's a massive opportunity for you to innovate within what's happening with this new world, if you like.
Most welcome also again. I am sorry for as organizer, I couldn't maybe arrange for the 1 hour, but we will continue keep on this meetings as we are Fintech CEO Club, and then our aim also to support to professionals and to innovators about and even startups about what's going on in the regions. in banks, in other enterprise level of sectors, and these sectors needs what kind of payments, what kind of insurtech, what kind of regulations, and as all we mentioned so far, blockchain is a kind of secure data transfer or secure money transfer, and something very important nowadays as security, cyber security is very important. Mohammed Bey mentioned about there is no hacking issues except losing some keys or KIDA, such kind of social issues. There is no hacking issues about the Bitcoin, and this may be positive sides. We will foresee that coming some digital era, and some digital millennials like to live such kind of systems, easy systems, non-bureaucratic systems, and environment they may prefer. So politicians should be careful should be careful to live to live as their parties and their management. So thank you for all watchers and contributors and speakers. You can see us from fintechcoclub.com, fintechspeakers.com, and then we will keep continue on this kind of new things, what's going on, what's developments to talk about on this, and we are happy to publish this video with you. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Fatin.
Thank you, Mustafa Bey. Take care. Goodbye. مع السلامة.
See you next.
إن شاء الله.